Hello, I'm Jay. I'm the buyer for the local drop. Around me I have a couple of really wonderful things. Got some wine glasses, a box here and a box here. Both of these will have mystery wines within. Also have a spittoon, which I try not to use too often, and hopefully a wine knife, a random wine knife which I've never used before. Let's see if 25 years I can open a bottle of wine. So I'm going to open a couple of things randomly from here. We're going to have a chat about it. I'm going to read some information. I'm going to taste some wine, and that's going to make me happy. Okay, so here we go. Will it be box number 1 or box number 2? I'm going to go with box number 1. So I actually don't know if it's going to be red or white. So when the box arrives for you, it may look like this, and we'll find out. Let's open the box. All right. You see, it's beautifully packaged, of course. It's up here, and what do we have? We've got a little card. It's probably going to have a personal note for you, but it doesn't have one for me. And I'm going to put my hand into here, and I'm going to pull out a bottle of wine. And bingo! Surprise! We have a bottle of wine. And it's one of my favourite things. So this is a Hotchkiss wine. So it sounds very Germanic. The label even looks very Germanic, but don't be fooled. It's, believe it or not, from Victoria. Each one of the wines comes with a swing tag, and I can use as a cheat sheet, but hopefully by this point I probably should know. So don't let the German label fool you. This is 100% Henty Australian Riesling, a wine to savour. So let's try opening it. Before we go any further though, I will point out a couple of things. This is 2015. This is a killer vintage. And we bought basically the last few cases of it because we know someone who knows someone, so we managed to get the last few. And 15, if you can, get on board with it. So, because they're quite traditional course and they're old school, these guys, they're going to use a quart. Luckily I've got a wine knife with me, things are going well. They are biodynamic, they're organic. These are one of the first kind of, not so much natural wines, but almost natural wines that I tasted some years ago, and I was kind of taken back. The great thing about these wines is there's a quality within them, and because of the isolation out in Henty in the middle of nowhere, these guys are just doing their own thing. So let's have a little taste. Make sure the cork smells good. Good way to start the day. So beautiful. This is gorgeous. So what this does really well, it's got that perfect balance. It's got something long and linear that you know it's Riesling, but it's got a plushness as well. This is exceptional. One thing I will mention, don't freeze it. Don't freeze your white wines, please. You're going to kill them before you know them. So that's wine number 1, making me happy. This is 2015 Henty Riesling from Hotchkiss. We're going to have a rustle around in this box now and close my eyes. Like a lucky dip for being a kid, I think. Okay, so I've got a random pack of wine. Oh, goody. So we've got some rosé. Rosé, please don't treat rosé badly. Rosé is our friend. So we've got a little swing tag as per normal. You normally receive one of these on the bottle, and it has a few little key things I should mention. Let's talk about rosé first things first. Rosé can be drunk all the time. It's great even with eggs, so you can effectively have rosé with breakfast, so don't overpower some of these things. This is where it is at the moment. This is Montfin. So this is a new vintage, 2016. It's brought in by a friend of ours, Felix, who's a little bit crazy, but he's got a thing for rosé, and we're not gonna knock him back on that. Sensibly under Stelvin. This is from a little sub-region, so this is effectively Languedoc, but it's in the pre-Pyrenees. So as you travel up, you're getting higher altitude. This is not generic rubbish. This is hard to work with. You've got a hill, you've got to pick everything by hand. This is a 30-year-old vineyard, but state-of-the-art winery, and that's why it's so clever. When you're in Provence and you're standing there and you're in a street and you're smelling a rosé and you say, wow, that's gorgeous, I love a little bit of rosé, you're caught up in the romance. Often these wines travel back and they look shocking in reality. This doesn't. This is from a sub-region, so we're talking Languedoc, we're talking higher altitude, and we're talking precision. And that is amazing. So I'm thinking to myself, a bit more sunshine on the face and a little bit of rosé and make me happy. I'm not going to spit that, that's too good. Don't spit this wine. So 2016, my friend Felix, this is Montfin. Okay, let's have a little rustle in the box. There's going to be something else in here before I move on to the other box. But let's have a little look. Actually, let's not look, let's just grab a bottle. Okay. Ah, nice one. All right, so Telangi, you may have seen this label around. Very good producer. There's quite a wide range of wines they produce. Even the entry-level wines are pretty smart, but this is the estate Pinot Noir. This is 2015. It's a great Pinot Noir. There's a guy called Franco Diana, who's a bit of a legend in the area, and he makes the wine for these people. So what they do is they have some of the best vineyards in the area, and they get guest people to come in and do a rock star for them. Franco does some really smart things. You might have seen some of his wines, Wickens Road and Hoddles Creek. but then he gets to work with some exceptional fruit, and this is exceptional. The great thing about these wines are just amazing. There's a certain quality, there's a smokiness, there's a beautiful barrel work, great Pinot Noir, and every time you have one of these wines, you know why it's so good. Delicious. Well, what you're getting here is you're not getting a one-dimensional wine. There's tons of complexity. It's bottle aged. It's built to last as well. This is super quality. This is way beyond their entry level. This is exceptional Pinot Noir. So this is 2015 Tolani Estate Pinot Noir from the Yarra. Cheers. Box number 2, delicious. So we've had a bit of a look over here. Let's find out what happens in this box. So luckily I got a double delivery today, so I get 2 boxes, making myself very happy. It's like Christmas all the time. Let's open this one up here and have a look. Lucky we've got a wine with us. Great. One knife. Gorgeous little note, hopefully personally addressed to you. You can have a little shuffle around. And I'm selecting random act of wine. Okay, we're getting serious here. This is Luca Bosio. Now, this is wonderful Nebbiolo from Alba. So we're going to Piemonte in northern Italy. So we're going up to the mountains. So people decided to plant a whole bunch of vineyards focusing on this great variety. Nebbiolo is really fascinating because it's kind of like Pinot, but not, if you know what I mean. It's got a little extra cha-cha-cha. So when you're looking at it, you're thinking about sour cherries, you're thinking about plums, you're thinking about thyme roses, but you're thinking about tannin. So you're going to have more weight. And this is what works so well. This is 2014 vintage, which is a pretty damn good year in that part of the world. And this is from a greater area. Now, when you take Nebbiolo and you treat it in a particular way, you may make a wine called Barolo Barbaresco, which you're probably aware of. And that is a wine style, and it has to do with aging. So they put more time in oak, and these are from certain sub-regions. This is from the greater area, so this is more of an entry-level wine. It's an everyday drinking wine, but it follows some of those hallmarks. You don't need to age it, but often looks really good. I love working with this wine, it's gorgeous. So a blend of Sauvignon oak, which is traditional large format oak, and they use some French barriques. And you may hear people banging on about old world and new world producers to Nebbiolo. And effectively it was the start of where they changed from that large old format Sauvignon oak to French barrels. But now everyone's blending. So they're both old school and new school. So that kind of argument's ended, but the wines are still looking good. Spittoon's still sitting there, barely used. And I dumped that off, but I think that's terrific. So what you're looking for here, risotto with mushrooms would be perfect. Anything slow braised and meaty, it's a great wine. What it does, it attacks you with the big fruit. It's got that nice little tail of tannin that freshens up the palate. So that's Luca Bosio, 14 vintage, Nebbiolo from Alba in Piemonte. Goody goody, let's have a look in the box. Let's see what else we have in here. So, right, so we'll rustle around, see what we can find. Okay, so this is a novelty. You want to impress your friends, you want to confuse people, ask for the vintage on this one, yeah? People will sit there, they'll say this, they'll say that, they'll argue this year over that year. It's a non-vintage wine. Yes, it's a non-vintage table wine from France. So, this is very clever. So, a blended wine, so think about the Rhone Valley. So this is almost like a baby Chateauneuf du Pape. So this is made for friends and family. So it's declassified. So they're making an everyday drinking wine. It's blended, traditional kind of combinations. I think there's some Grenache, some Cinsault, some bits and pieces in the vineyard. So the idea with this is they can make something for themselves. Now luckily we know some people who know some people, as we do, and they're managing to ship some of it now for our own selfish reasons. So when you're trying to impress a few people at home, just ask them where it's from. They're going to tell you where it's from, but they won't work out what year it is. And those wine bores will disappear pretty rapidly. But it is very good drinking. Yeah, this is great. It's terrific. So, beautiful composition. Think Chateauneuf du Pape, or maybe baby Chateauneuf du Pape. So it has a roar of alcohol behind it, a push and a power as well. But very, very smart drinking. And got a gorgeous bit of labelling going on as well. Excellent. Get on board with this. I'm going to have a rustle in the box and see what we can find. Oh, I like the feel of that. Okay, let's pull this out. Aha! The king of swing of northern Italy. So, Livio Faluga. So, I was in a room one day, walked in, I had a tasting, we were in Italy, And this man walked into the room. I said, "You are Livio Faluga." And he said, "How did you know?" And I said, "Well, you can just tell." So any ideas when you have a look at the packaging on this, he's just that kind of guy. He walks into a room, he changes everything around him. So Livio Faluga chose to use a map of his village on all his labels, but you can't actually feel the label, but I actually can feel it. It's beautifully embossed, gorgeous packaging. But what it is with a Livio Faluga wine, it's attention to detail, it's focus, and all his wines are so precise. They're like a little laser. I'm going to have a little taste of this. Sensibly under screw cap, because this man is basically Germanic in the way that he views everything. We're looking at a 14 vintage wine here, 100% Sauvignon Blanc. And I don't often think to myself, hey, I want a Sauvignon Blanc, hey, I want one from Northern Italy. But if someone puts this in front of me, I'm definitely going to be having a glance. It's so pure, it's so focused, it's quite extraordinary. His wines sell out, we get very little shipped into the country. We're lucky enough to buy a few of the last of them. So when you see one of these wines, if it's a Pinot Grigio, if it's a Chardonnay, or even the Sauvignon Blanc, do have a go. Yeah, that's a keeper. I'm going to keep this one for myself. So anyway, we're going to buzz through our random acts of wine, part 1. So we had a look at a few things today. Hochkirch Riesling, 15, which is terrific from the Henty. Biodynamic, organic, unfiltered, just gorgeous. Then we went to Corbières, we went to France. This is Montfin. Beautiful, beautiful rosé, and just absolutely over-delivering. Then a gorgeous little Tolagny wine. This is the Estate Pinot wine, not to be confused with some of the more entry-level wines. This is an extra step up completely. Traveling over to the right-hand side here, Luca Bossi or Nebbiolo from Piemonte. We had a quick chat about Barolo and Barbaresco. And then for our wine board friends, this Lips wine, which is a non-vintage, declassified baby Chateauneuf de Pape with all the raw and power and fruit intensity behind it. And then from the King of Swing in Northern Italy, Livio Faluga comes to the rescue with Sauvignon Blanc we can all love and get on board with. So 6 gorgeous things randomly selected from a couple of boxes. Thank you for joining us for Random Acts of Wine.